Republican Party priorities. Let's get dialed in. Hello and welcome to Texas Talkin, the show where we call out the absurd, laugh at the predictable, and, on occasion, celebrate the moments when politicians actually do their jobs. Today, we're diving into something big. The next Texas legislative session is set to kick off on January 14th, and we, as delegates in the Republican Party of Texas, voted on our list of 8 legislative priorities this past May. These are the issues we want our Republican legislators to focus on. And folks, they're not exactly subtle. Picture this: a political wish list so bold, so unapologetically Texan, it could only come from a state where the motto is, come and take it. These priorities are the legislative equivalent of walking into the Capitol, tipping your cowboy hat, and saying, we don't care what California thinks. We're not playing around. So what's on the list? Well, for starters, we're doubling down on election integrity. The plan? Paper ballots and hand counts. You know, the kind of thing that worked for centuries before someone decided it was a good idea to outsource elections to software glitches. Then there's border security. Remember when securing the border was something both parties pretended to care about? Well, in Texas, we're not pretending. We want to create our own Department of Homeland Security and make sure no one in Washington tells us what to do. Because in Texas, sovereignty isn't just a buzzword. It actually means something. And let's not forget about my favorite, banning Democrat chairs in the legislature. Yes, we as a party strongly believe it is past time to end this insane, self-defeating practice. Why on earth would we give the opposing team a 2-possession score advantage before the game has even started? Oh, and here's an important one. Banning the sale of our land to hostile nations like China, Iran, and North Korea. As of this moment, nefarious agents from these countries can and are buying up Texas land, lots of it, and adjacent to military bases in many cases. Yes, I know, what could possibly go wrong? Of course, these priorities have been called radical and extreme by the usual suspects. You know, the folks who think that banning plastic straws ought to be a top policy issue. But to most Texans, this is just common sense. We're tired of the nonsense and ready to remind the rest of the country what leadership looks like. Here next to help us sort it all out is State Republican Executive Committeewoman for Senate District 3, Rhonda Ward. Rhonda is as dialed in as they come. And you can bet your boots she'll be working tirelessly to ensure these legislative priorities are not ignored by politicians who don't care what you think or want. And joining me now is Senate District 3 SREC Committeewoman Rhonda Ward. Rhonda, welcome to Texas Talkin. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me, Shiloh. I appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. And hey, before we zone in on the subject at hand, the legislative priorities for this next session, why don't you explain to our viewers what the SREC is and what it is that you do?
Okay. The SREC stands for State Republican Executive Committee, and there are 31 Senate districts in Texas. So there are 31 committee women and 31 committee men representing those 31 districts. We also have, of course, our chair and vice chair. So that makes a total of 64 members of the SREC. We are elected at the convention every May or June, every biennium. The SREC is by our respective delegates. We run the party in between the convention because at the convention, the delegates run the party. And then the delegates also set the rules of what the rules are going to be for the Republican Party in between each session. You know, they have the rules and we have to follow those rules. The Republican Party is as you know, a ground up grassroots organization. We don't, unlike the Democrats, we don't tell them who their next presidential candidate is going to be.
Without having cast a vote.
Yes, no, the delegates decide that. So, and the voters decide that. And I know we're going to go into some legislative priorities, and I'll tell you how those originate when we get there. But the SREC, we are to promote the party and preserve the party. We also recruit Republican candidates, support them when they're in office, and we're the liaison between our district and the elected officials and Austin.
One of the other things that we do at the state convention is establish our set of legislative priorities. And so I wanted to ask you, what are the 8 legislative priorities for this next session?
Okay, the 8 that were voted on by the delegates is number 1 was, and these are in order of the way they were voted on. Number 1 was border enforcement, which we all understand that one. Number 2 was secure Texas elections. Number 3 is stop sexualizing Texas kids. Number 4 was no Democrat chairs. And number 5, ban taxpayer funded lobbying. 6 is secure our electric grid. And 7 is Texas is not for sale. This is China and Russia trying to buy our land. And then number 8 was end federal overreach. I will say number 9, which was only less than 1% from number 8, was axe the property tax. So the way we look at it on the SREC, as we get these accomplished, we can move to the next one and then move to the next one. We're not just bound by these 8. There was actually 15 that made the cut as far as what people voted on at convention.
And wouldn't it be something if we were able to get all 8 of these taken care of and then be able to move on to the ones that didn't make the top 8?
It would be awesome. It would be awesome. And I'm hoping that we can definitely do the ban Democrat chairs.
That's my favorite.
Hopefully in a position to do that. If we can ban the Democrat chairs, then we can probably get a lot of this legislation through.
Exactly. And that's why it is my favorite legislative priority, because we're shooting ourselves in the foot for no reason.
Yes. We have had the Republican majority, and we do not need to squander that majority.
And that begs my next question, which is, which of these 8 legislative priorities, Rhonda, do you feel are the top 3 most consequential?
The number 1 is ban Democrat chairs, because if you don't ban the Democrat chairs, then you can't get any of the legislation through. The other one is election integrity. And with the SREC, we are all on committees, and I'm actually on the election integrity committee. I actually had the opportunity last month to testify before the State Affairs Committee on election integrity. And right now, we have our people that have a green card or a visa in Texas, their driver's license looks just like ours does. There's no difference. I saw several senators there when the DPS lady was saying this. They were very puzzled as to why would a non-citizen's driver's license look just like a citizen's. So I could tell that's something that I could tell Senator Middleton and Senator Hughes were very perplexed about when that was mentioned. And I testified on the fact that I actually have a very good friend that was here on a visa. He is now a citizen. He became a citizen in July. And this is kind of what sparked my interest in this. I made the comment, well, I guess your next stop is the driver's license office. And he said, no. And he sent me a picture of his driver's license. It doesn't expire until 28. And it looked just like mine.
Interesting.
But he does have his papers. He was very proud to cast his first vote in America for Donald Trump.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yes. But I also testified on auditing for election integrity. Right now, we only audit 4 counties out of 254. And I suggested a 3-tier audit where we audit 6 counties. Because if we audit the counties that are 900,000 or more, that's only 12 of them. And that's where we have the most problem. In Texas, I think there are, let's see, I've got my notes here, 213 counties out of 254 are less than 100,000 people.
Wow.
And so they're usually they're trying to do the right thing. So we don't need to keep putting them in this same allotment.
Let's go where the problems are.
Yes, the problems are in our larger areas. And if we make it to where every 2 years, the odds are one of those 12 are going to be audited, they're going to probably, take care of business and make sure they are doing things on the up and up. Also, they're audited in November of every other year. That audit report isn't due back until August of not the next year, but the next. So the report we got in August of this year, for August of 24, was actually the audit from November of 22.
Why does it take so long?
That's what was in the bill, or that's what's in the law for the Secretary of State. So we had suggested on the Election Integrity Committee that we change that, and that when they're audited in November, that report is due in 12 months in November. My reasoning for that to the committee was, if we have some irregularities, they have until that primary in March to correct that. What happened? The report they gave in August, those things, they were just repeating their errors in March, and then there wasn't enough time, really, the end of August, to implement any changes for the November election.
Yeah.
Early voting was starting for the general. So that our election integrity would be one that after the banning Democrat chairs, election integrity, the one I've been on the bandwagon about even before I was on SREC, was banning taxpayer-funded lobbying. And we're using our own taxpayer money against the citizens. And it's our money that the government is using to fund more government.
Break that down a little bit more for us and clarify for the viewers how exactly taxpayer-funded lobbying works, because I have a feeling that many people who are watching this are going to say, I had no idea that my tax dollars are being used to pay for lobbyists.
Correct. Most people don't know that. And I've been trying to figure out a way to make it to where it's a little bit more explainable. The only thing that I know to tell people is your school boards. Most of them are a member of, everybody calls it TASB, Texas Association of School Boards. Well, as we know, schools do not generate income. Schools use tax money. Well, then they use that tax money to become a member of TASB, or Texas Association of School Boards. Then these school boards use that money. There's thousands of school districts across the state of Texas. Most all of them are members of TASB. They then use that money to hire people to then school or do classes and seminars with school board members as well as teachers. And one of them was teaching how to use the proper pronouns on LGBTQ students. So that's
exactly what we send our kids to school to learn.
Yes. They also were very instrumental in pushing the critical race theory.
I bet they were
very instrumental in that, especially with DEI as well. Then on the other hand, you have your cities and counties, and most all your cities are members of the Texas Municipal League, and they're an association that charges a fee to belong. And then they tell these cities what all they really need to do. And none of them are for less government. They were never for less government. They're always for more government. And the thing is, we're not saying that they can't be a member of these. We're just saying they don't need their lobbyist. I have talked to many state and local leaders, as far as senators and state reps, about this issue, because I've been hearing from county commissioners and county judges and mayors and city council members, well, if we are not members of the Texas Municipal League or the Texas Association of Counties, then we don't have representation. But they do. That's what they were elected to do, is to represent the people of that county or that city. And I even said you could drive to Austin, and every elected official told me when they have these hearings, if there's a county commissioner that's driven from their home county to testify, they said that carries way more weight than a lobbyist that lives in Austin. That person
as well, it should.
It should. That person doesn't know what, and they even said they don't even have to drive here. Just pick up the phone. Just pick up the phone. And then they've also told me, well, they can't follow the bills. Well, now with technology, you can just put in the bill you want to follow and you get email alerts about it. Plus, they can still let them know about bills. The association can, but you just don't need to pay a lobbyist that.
Especially not with tax dollars.
No. The thing is, the elected officials aren't hiring lobbyists to go to these counties. So are these counties hiring lobbyists to go to Austin?
Great question.
Yeah.
So, what can everyday Texans do to ensure that we get these legislative priorities across the finish line?
Well, the first one right now is the ban Democrat chairs. And Deborah Fight, who is an SREC, has a website, and I'm going to give it to everybody watching here. It is bandemocratchairsinfo.com.
We'll put it
And
up on the screen.
Yes, bandemocratchairsinfo.com. It will give you a list of every elected official and the freshmen coming in that have voted to ban Democrat chairs and the ones that are undecided.
Okay.
And everyday Texans can call or email those offices and tell them that this has to happen. They have to ban the Democrat chairs, and they want David Cook as their Speaker of the House and not Dade Phelan. So,
well, Dade has doubled down on this insane practice of appointing Democrats to committee chair positions, unfortunately.
Right. And to explain to the viewers, Democrat chairs is where most bills go to die. I mean, really,
Correct.
they assign them. It might be a bill for tourism, and then they're going to slide it over somewhere that is where it would literally never see the light of day.
Yeah,
and,
never make it to committee.
No, that's a tactic, and that's got to stop. And I've watched several interviews with David Cook, and I think he's going to get the job done. He has signed the contract with Texas, so has I think 46 others have signed that, and so we need to continue. There, if you go to that website, it also tells you exactly how many votes we have to have on the first round. They're all going to be voting on December the 7th. Their Republican caucus is, and then how many votes they need on the second round of the caucus. Of course, we all know on the floor they have to have 76 votes. They have to have a majority of the 150 state reps. So the thing is, we have 88 Republicans there. There's no reason why.
None. We don't need to have the Democrats decide who our Speaker of the Texas House is. No. I actually have an exciting announcement to make and a way that everyday Texans can get involved. How about going to the Capitol? And I'm excited to tell everybody that True Texas Project has teamed up with Texas Gun Rights. We're going to be filling up a bus from right here in Southeast Texas on opening day of the legislative session, going up to Austin to advocate for these legislative priorities and also protest Dade Phelan retaining the speaker's gavel. So our voices right here in House District 21 are going to be heard on opening day on January 14th. So more information to come on that, but please save the date. This is to all my viewers. If you would like to participate in this, we will be leaving at 5 o'clock in the morning on January 14th. So reach out to us and I'll be providing more information as it becomes available along with a flyer for that.
That'll be great.
And Rhonda, if you're available, we would love to have you join us.
I'm going to definitely see about that. I'm committed to one of my Republican groups. I cover 18 counties.
I can imagine you're really busy, so I understand. But
geographic area. So,
I would be remiss had I not invited you to join us because we'd love to have you.
Well, they're going to be meeting on December 7th, and the SRE is actually meeting on December 7th for our meeting, the caucus is. So we're hoping that we can have a longer lunch recess and go down there. I know it's a closed meeting, but doesn't hurt to maybe stand in the hallway for a little bit. So anyway,
not at all.
Let them know we're there. So,
well, Rhonda, I want to thank you for taking time to come on and help us break down these legislative priorities, the ones that are probably most consequential, and also for explaining to people what the SREC is. Most people don't know. I would assume they have two SREC reps, a man and a woman, in each Senate district. So, you hear SREC and people wonder, well, what is that? So thank you for the clarity. I appreciate that. And if I don't talk to you before then, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Well, thank you. And same to you and your family, Shiloh.
Thank you, Rhonda. May God bless you and may God continue to bless the great state of Texas. Stay dialed in to interviews and content just like this by clicking that follow button on my Facebook page or hit the subscribe button to learn more about exclusive access that you won't want to miss.